Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with Alyssa.
Hi!
And here we are with another SoundJack's Rambles. And today we are talking about Voltron Legendary Defenders Season 4.
Woo! So, this episode is...
This season?
No, I meant this episode of the podcast.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
This episode of the podcast has been pushed back quite a bit and is pretty late, especially since this came out in October. So we were planning to talk about this season earlier, but it got pushed back and delays and stuff. But now, to hail in the new year, we are talking about it and actually not pushing it back anymore.
Yes.
So, thank you if you've been waiting for this episode forever. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But if you have, it's finally coming out. So get hype, I guess.
Yes. So if you don't know, Voltron's Legendary Defender is on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, I definitely encourage watching, though you probably have seen it if you're listening to this. Season 4 came out this past October, like Alyssa said. And I think two-ish months is a good enough time to leave so people can watch a season of a show and be prepared for any spoilers to come, so that you can watch this without being spoiled. And we are going to get into it, but first we're going to go over what our general thoughts of the season were before we get into talking about the episodes. And since this season had so few episodes, we are actually probably talking about each episode individually as we progress.
Mm-hmm. So, why don't you say what you thought, generally speaking?
I'm going to say the main thing is this season contains my favorite episode of the entire series so far, and it's friggin' wonderful, and I like this season for that. But it is a little too short to allow a proper mix of comedic and serious episodes. So, like, it's basically half very serious episodes and the other half are very lighthearted episodes. And because of how fast they go back and forth is kind of a little off-putting. There's one very comedic episode in this season that feels really out of place with the rest of the season. I
definitely agree with you on that one. And we'll probably get more into it when we talk about the individual episodes.
Yeah. Actually, I did misspeak. It's not really half serious, half comedic. It's like there was one episode that was incredibly friggin' serious. And everything else has the standard like comedic serious mix with obviously like with the first episode having a bit more serious tone, the last episode having a bit more serious tone, the other two episodes having somewhat comedic / serious tones, and then the other episode just being flat out comedic.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yes.
So that episode felt incongruous to the rest of it. Like, it did serve an overall story point, yes. But I think they just needed to take more time. I think the writers have stated they wanted season 3 to be 13 episodes, and while this is season 4, season 3 was only 7 episodes, and this season was 6 episodes, so this kind of feels like season 3.5 to an extent. Mm-hmm. And it's just in like the whole structure regard, it doesn't suit well, but this season does have a lot of very strong moments, and again, my favorite episode.
All right, yeah, I definitely agree with you on a lot of your points. I think that there is a lot of tone problems in this season, and the fact that there doesn't seem to be a consistent thing. You can definitely tell that the writers were kind of in a tight spot when they were writing this. Like, yes. I feel like there were a lot of plot points and a lot of character notes that they wanted to hit, they wanted to do, but they couldn't because of either studio mandate or scheduling conflicts or whatever. That got in the way. I think considering the back like all the background and all the struggles that I've heard about the development of the show for this season, I think that for what it could have been, I think they did a good job of trying to work with what they had. But I do think it's probably on the whole the weakest season of Voltron. And that's not to say it's a bad season or that it like totally like tanks the show. No, I think it's still watchable. I think that there's still some good, like you said, there's some good moments, and there's an episode that both of us think is like excellent. But at the same time, there's that one episode that's totally out of nowhere and just not, just we didn't need that kind of episode in the season. And I don't know, you could kind of tell that there was a lot of struggles behind the scenes, and yeah, I'm. It was an okay season. For Voltron, I think on the like when we're talking about like the general like out of everything that could happen, it's a good season for a TV show. But for what I've gotten previously in previous Voltron seasons, there are some weak points that probably shouldn't have been there. But considering the background, like I said before, I can give it a pass. You know.
Yes.
So. That's my general thoughts.
So, I think at this point we can just go around talking about each of the episodes.
Yeah.
So.
Spoilers, by the way. Get out of here if you haven't seen season 4 yet.
Oh, yeah.
Leave.
Yeah. Go watch it right now and then come back.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. First of all, we have the episode of called Code of Honor.
Oh boy, do I have some words for this episode. I have some words. I'll let you go, though, first.
Yeah.
Talk about those.
I mean, basic just a basic refresher. This is the episode where we see Keith struggling to be both the leader of Team Voltron and being a member of the Blade of Mamora. Mm-hmm. And there's a point that his presence was desperately needed.
Yep.
And in the heat of the moment, Shiro was able to reunite with Voltron, with the Black Lion.
Yep.
And then after that, Keith decides he wants to leave Team Voltron and stay with the Blade of Mamora. And the team are happy for him and happy with his choice. And then he goes. And then Shiro is back as team leader. And yeah. That's the basic gist of the episode.
So what did you know what I think about this episode. What do you think about this episode?
I think it's an interesting choice. I think for Keith's character, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Reasonably for Keith's character, it makes sense. He's a loner. He's never really been able to stick around anywhere. He's not a leader. And he also has always wanted to know what's been up with his family. And being with the Blade of Mamora ticks all of the boxes for him pretty much. Mm-hmm. Because he gets to be a loner ninja assassin dude. He still has to work in a team, but he's not the one in charge. But he still makes bold-headed, rash decisions. He's working on figuring out his ancestry and his mother it is, right?
Yes, his mother.
Because we know his father's human. And yeah, but how they did it, and this is where Alyssa's going to get into it. The response could have been different to Keith constantly blowing them off. In the context of the Keith saying, I need to leave Voltron because I think the Blade of Mamora is better for me, how responsive and supportive his friends were is a very good moment, because it's not really a moment we see a lot in television,
right,
or media representation, because that is a normal, healthy thing that friends are supposed to do for other friends.
Right.
Especially when it's going to be good for the friend especially if they're leaving. But in the lead up to that, There's all what was the scenario? There was almost an entire.
I forget exactly what happened, but basically what happened was
it was like a whole lot of civilians were gonna get.
Basically, Keith was off on a mission with the Blade of Marmora, and then the Lions. I think they were off together, and basically they were off on like a mission, and then the mission required Voltron, like the whole thing, and because Keith was away and the Black Line was out of commission, and like Shiro can't activate it, and basically it was a real move for Keith to have just been like whelp, and like because like on one hand, like, he's very apologetic and sorry that happened, but at the same time, I'm like, Keith, I know you don't think you're a leader, but just the way it was presented, it felt like Keith was saying, I'm gonna leave, purposefully put Voltron in a dangerous situation so that the Black Line had no choice but to bond with Shiro again so I could not be leader. I mean, I don't think that's what that might not have been what he was thinking, but it feels like that was what he was doing, and I'm just like, why would you do that?
Well, he cut the ties after Shiro bonded with the Black Lion.
Yeah, I know, but my point is that it felt like what Keith was doing was that he just was literally purposely removing himself from Voltron so that Shiro would take his place, and I mean, like I said, he might not have thought that, but it sure sounds like he was purposely like, I'm gonna leave so that in the case of an emergency, Shiro has to take up my mantle, otherwise everyone gets screwed over. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just like, move. Just like, that's just such an awful thing for someone to do, even by accident. Mm-hmm. And it's not like this is Keith's first time doing it, where he's like, oh, I forgot. He's been doing this for the past, like, he's been letting Team Voltron down for the past couple times that he's been out doing these missions. And the other thing that stresses me out about this episode is that I'm very happy that Shiro is willing to, you know, let Keith do what he needs to do, and that's great. Because typically the standard for that episode would be trying to convince him to come back on. But at the same time, I feel like there needed to be more anger from Team Voltron in that instance. I mean, he almost let them die. Mm-hmm. And, like, that, I mean, I know, obviously, like I said, Keith's probably not, like, trying to do that, but I feel like that kind of behavior shouldn't be just let go. You know, even and this show has shown that it's capable of talking about these things sincerely. So, like, what, like, let the team be pissed at him for, like, at least a little longer. You know, like, then maybe I would have been a bit more satisfied with this episode. Because, like, I agree that Keith's desire not to be leader and to try and find out more of his family, that's totally within his character. That totally makes sense. What doesn't make sense to me is all of the surrounding bits of it. And you can kind of tell that the entire reason for this episode was to kind of put Keith in a side plot. So
Shiro could be in charge, because everyone loves Shiro. For the reason why season 3 was so short, because they wanted Shiro back quickly. Yeah, and it's just, the other thing that, like, really, like, pissed me off, too, a little bit. Again, this is going back to the whole, this is clearly because of things that got in the way. They had set up that Keith was going to try and be leader, and I wanted them to go through with that. Yes. But they didn't. They just they just shoved him into a side plot. And I'm like, why? We had this awesome, like, there was that one episode where, in season 3, where Keith leads everyone into into that, like, the planet with all the, like, metal stuff and trying to catch Lodor, and it was showing off that, like, Keith was being real cocky and brash and headstrong and, like, showing his weakness as a leader. And that episode was a great one at showing, like, how Keith was willing to be a leader, sort of, but he was unwilling, but he was learning. And I really wanted them to see that progression, but no. No, we don't get that, which is, it's not even that
that I'm upset that we don't get to see Keith as leader. It's more that the series set up that as the what would be happening going forward. Mm-hmm. And then now that was just almost retconned in a way.
Yeah. Which
it wasn't, but like they just brought back Shiro not for no reason, but like it doesn't make like there was a plot that was going to happen that I thought was going to be really cool, but then they just kind of had to swerve away from it for a moment, mm-hmm. which just is really disappointing to me, too.
Speaking of swerving plots, I just remembered something. Mm-hmm. We never learned anything more about Operation Kuron.
No, we don't.
No.
Nope.
No.
Nope, that's the one thing that... Because I remember I watched Voltron, our previous Voltron podcast, and you said one of the things that you were expecting to see was stuff about Operation Kuron, and nope,
none of that.
We don't see any of it. We don't know we still don't know what's going on with it. We don't know what's up with Shiro. We don't know if he's a clone. Is he a clone? Is he not a clone? Is he the real one? Is he not the real one? We don't know. I guess for next season, maybe.
Maybe. If we're lucky.
So that was also a bit of a bummer.
Yes.
But I do want to clarify, I don't think this episode is awful by any means. I feel like the flaws of this season can just be, you can just kind of feel it from this episode. And the fact that this episode, to me, was so flawed, at least like from how I'm viewing it, just kind of made it a little bit tougher for, I just kind of said, I was like, I really hope the rest of the season's better. I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know.
Well, the next episode was a lot better.
Oh yeah, the last episode was much better.
Do we have anything else we want to say about Code of Honor before
but
we go on to the next episode?
I think I've gone on a rant enough. But
so the next episode we have is Reunion.
This episode.
Do you want to summarize this one?
Okay, so basically this is the episode that I've been waiting for a long, long time, which is Pidge looking for his brother. Her brother. Oh my god. Her brother. And, because I remember, again, when we were talking about Season 4 in our earlier podcast, I mentioned that I was hoping, I expected her, Pidge and the conflict with her brother to be brought in at some point. And I said I wasn't really expecting it this season, but maybe Season 5. But no, it was included in this season, mm-hmm. to my surprise. But basically what happens is Pidge goes, leaves the team on like a side mission for her to try and find Matt based on, I think, some prison logs that she found when they broke out Slav. I think that's where she found out more stuff. So she went to go contact some people that she saw in the pictures, and basically she tracks him down, and she tracks down one person who knew him.
Yep. And
is asking, hey, where is he? And she's like, I don't know. We got separated at some point.
But we got his but here's a communicator. Yeah. You're one of us now, so you can use that to get to him.
So yeah, she gives her, I forget the person's name. Is it listed? The arms dealer. There was an arms. No,
the arms dealer was the guy at the beginning.
Oh, it's true. Okay.
Yeah. I want to see. It doesn't explain.
Okay.
Wow, the Voltron wiki is crappy.
It is, yeah. But like, so Taosh, that's the woman. Taosh, that's the woman who gives Pidge the communicator. So yeah, there's like this whole arms dealing thing because Matt works with like freedom fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
So she goes with Taosh, and Taosh gets wounded, and then she gives her communicator. And then she tracks the communicator down and then finds a mass grave with a bunch of people who've died. And then the tracker leads to a grave that has Matt's name on it. And Pidge is like, holy crap. And she thinks her brother's dead. But then it turns out that her brother left a note or code. Because earlier in a flashback, they established that the father
had a secret code so they could talk.
Yeah, they could talk through, like, frequencies or something. I don't remember exactly
Because he was in space, so they could talk because they could... those kinds of transmissions were kind of, like, not allowed.
Yeah, so basically he uses that code to tell Pidge where he is. And so Pidge follows those coordinates. She finds him in like a bunker somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. And they reunite. And Matt is...
and then they kick the crap out of a bounty hunter.
Yes, they do kick the crap out of a bounty hunter. Really cool. They like tag team it. It's great. Yeah. And then they head back to... Voltron. Yep. So that's basically what the summary of this episode is. And it's great. Seeing Pidge and Matt in flashback, I thought was really great at establishing their relationship. You could tell that Pidge really looked up to her brother, and that Matt, you know, even though it's from Pidge's point of view, you could tell that Matt and her have a really strong relationship. So it makes sense that she was willing to go to such lengths to find him. And I mean, just it was just wonderful, and I'm really happy that they have that. And all of the things and we were finally able to see Pidge was able to find her family. And I guess now she's probably going to go and search for her dad, too, because her dad went missing as well, right?
Yeah, but she seemingly never given a crap about him.
Yeah, you're right. She hasn't cared as much about her. That's true. She hasn't really mentioned her dad as much as her brother, so... Yeah. I don't know, maybe Pidge isn't too keen on trying to find her father. But, anyway, for this episode, like I said, I think it's probably one of the best episodes in the season. I don't know if I'd say it's the best episode of Voltron. I'd have to rewatch the rest of the series again to really determine what's the best episode. But I think it has a lot of good emotion. I think it's a lot of drama. I think it has a lot of good. It's really good. If you like Pidge as a character, which I do, I love Pidge. She's one of my, if not my favorite character in the entire show. This is a great episode for that. It really dives into her character and, you know, and everything like that.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
I do have one criticism, though. But I do have one criticism, but that's probably more because, again, this is probably an unfair criticism. This might be more because of what I want it to be rather than what it is. In that I wasn't pissed off, but I was kind of like almost disappointed with the fake out death moment. And the reason why is because I kind of feel like I wanted them, if they were going to have him die, I kind of wanted them to have him die. Mm-hmm. Because, like, to me, if you're going to show that and have Pidge see her brother's grave, go all the way with it. Have him be dead and have her confront the fact that someone that she loves is gone. And then, you know, you can make that episode about, you know, the horrors of war and, like, how, and, like, the pain that someone goes through when they lose someone they love. That would have been, I would have liked that, I mean, it would still be upsetting, but, like, I would have, from a storytelling perspective, I would have liked that just as much as having her find Matt in the end. I almost was like, when I was watching the episode, I was totally in it. Like, I wasn't disappointed when I saw that Matt was alive. I was like, oh, thank God, when I saw it. But on reflection, I was almost like, I kind of almost wanted him to die in the sense that it would have been such a so much more of a gut punch. It would have been like, because Pidge has been talking nothing else about, the biggest thing about her character is that she wants to find her brother. And it probably would have been a real emotional turn if it turned out that he just wasn't alive. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm glad that he is. I'm glad that Matt's alive. I'm interested to see what his character does. But I'm on the fence about that part of it. I understand why they did it, but at the same time, I'm almost like, I feel like you could almost cut out that scene and it wouldn't have lost that much impact. I mean, I guess it shows how much she cares about Pidge, about how much she cares about Matt. But at the same time, I feel like the flashbacks got that point across. We didn't necessarily need to show us what if he died. Like, it almost feels like the creators wanted to have it both ways, but then they kind of went with a good ending anyway. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe having one of the main characters' main family die is too dark for this show. I don't think it would have been, to be honest. I've watched plenty of kids shows that have had a side character die. Even characters that were on screen for at least a little bit of the time. So, yeah, I don't know. that part of it I'm struggling with. But the rest of it, as a whole, but again, that criticism might be more me wanting it to be dark, or at least go all the way with its ideas, rather than what it is. In which case, as it is, I think it's a solid episode. So now that I've said my piece.
Well, as for me, this is my favorite episode of this entire series so far.
Right.
I do not care what it could have been. I love what it is. It is wonderful. I cried twice. I cried when we thought he was dead, and we cried at the reunion. It was wonderful. The script, the story, the emotion of the actors, it all went together so frickin' well. It was amazing. There was not a moment I was engaged in it every moment of the entire episode.
I probably look like a real stick in the mud.
Possibly. But
I don't think it's bad. It could have been like.
I understand. Yes, they could have gone all the way, but I'm
gone all the way, man.
But I'm so happy that he's alive, and I'm so sad. And like it.
I mean, yeah,
I do understand what you're saying. That yes, the writers got it both ways.
Yeah.
But I also loved seeing their modern day interaction.
Yeah.
Because in the past, it was clear that her brother was a superior to her. Not as in, like, he was dominating or whatever. He was just, like, more skilled. He was more knowledgeable. He had more training and all that stuff. But now, Pidge has the same knowledge, skill, training, etc., possibly more because she's a member of Voltron.
Yeah.
They are equals. And they still see each other as equals.
Yeah, that's also a good point.
That there is a different dynamic with them in the present than there was in the past. And I love how their dynamic is working. Because Matt is never like, well, I'm jealous now. It's like, oh, that's so cool. My little sister did this. Awesome.
Yeah, I am really glad that they're very supportive of each other. I think that's great. It could have easily been the kind of sibling relationship was like, you're an idiot, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who has a sibling, I can see I like how supportive he is. In some ways, it is a little, I don't know, I agree with you on that. Like, I don't want to make it sound like I hated this episode. I didn't. I loved it. I did, but when I was watching it, I was invested. The fact that there was that, I don't know. I have a lot of complicated feelings about this season. It's like this love-hate relationship. It's very weird.
I love this one. I just straight up love this episode. The season overall, I can agree with that notion.
Okay. Well, I guess we can agree to disagree.
Yes.
Like I said, I did like Reunion. It was the best episode in this season.
Okay.
Bar none.
Okay.
It's just I am criticizing it for what I want it to be rather than what it is, which maybe isn't fair, but I don't know. Take it for what you will.
Yeah. But I think we're done with that episode, so let's move on to the third episode, Black Sight. And Zarkon's back.
Yeah, he just appears out of nowhere. He's like, oh hi guys, I'm back.
Oh hi, Mark, I'm back.
Oh hi, audience. I'm back. I have new threads. I'm now Darth Vader.
Yeah, he also has a suit. He has basically a Darth Vader.
Up Darth Vader now.
He's a Darth Vader respiratory suit, basically. But he comes back. He relieves Lotor of his duties. Hagar is suspicious, so she mind controls one of his like crew.
Yep.
And then Hagar figures out what's going on, and then Lotor figures out, wait, Hagar knows what's going on. Okay, I gotta kill her. Now we gotta go escape. And yeah. The main thing of the episode is that Zarkon comes back, and Lotor is kicked out of
like his followers kick him out.
There's their species,
Galra.
the Galra.
So yeah,
He's kicked out of the Galra Empire, and they're kind of lone wolves.
Yep.
Now, but he still has plans. Also, there's a couple of scenes with the Voltron crew just kind of hanging out. Lance is playing video games.
Oh yeah, there's that one scene where like they showed how because like there was the episode where they got the video game console. They got
Coltonager.
They got Coltonager in that episode. They also got the video game, and they made a point of saying that like because the tech was too advanced to play it, and so then when you see Lance playing the video game, you see all these generators have to turn on in order to make it compatible. I thought that was really funny.
Yes. Yeah, and then also showing Allura and Karan.
Yeah.
How to get a milkshake from Coltonager.
That was a really funny bit
because.
Because I love. Okay, I have a real soft spot in any media that has exploration of different cultures. Like I love whenever there's sci-fi. I love seeing characters not know how to deal with human things.
Yeah.
Because it kind of recontextualizes like normal things that are normal to us can seem really strange to other people.
Yeah.
So the idea so it makes sense that like Allura and Karan would ask Coltonager for milk. Be like, hey, can you give us a milkshake? You know, instead of being like, no, that's not how it works. And then, Lance showing them you gotta milk her first. And then them being absolutely horrified. Like, holy crap, what is he doing to her?
Yeah. Also, I think we figured out Lance's background a little bit, than the fact that he's a farm boy.
Yeah, that tidbit I liked. I like that.
That may be speculation, but
I mean, I think
he was too confident in knowing how to milk a cow.
Yeah.
For any average person of some kind of alternate, roughly about now timeline.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not exactly sure if this is supposed to be like present day, or if it's like supposed to be in the future, since like they're traveling to Pluto.
Yeah.
But
it's supposed to be like a strange approximation, I'd say.
Yeah. But regardless, if he was a city boy, he would not know how to milk a cow.
No.
So he's got to be some level of farm boy.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool. I'm glad that we got. I like that kind of stuff too, and that's what I like about this show is that they're good at putting in details about characters and not like explicitly telling us stuff. Like they didn't tell us that he's probably worked on a farm. We can tell because he knows how to milk a cow.
Yeah.
So that detail was really great, and it was a funny scene too. So kudos to that one.
Yeah.
What did you think of Zarkon being back? Because for me, I thought that was too fast.
Yes,
also out of nowhere. Like
I completely agree. There was not even like I think we had seen some form of a scene in an early episode being like, yo, about them about Hagar and Lotor talking, and there clearly being tension to build up like the suspicion of Hagar to Lotor.
Yes.
For this episode.
Yes.
But it was totally entirely possible for somewhere in that episode to bring I think there was even a guy that talked to Hagar about talking to him, and like somehow could have totally been brought up that like he's getting better.
Yeah, I feel like.
Or we see something of like the suit that they're prepping for him.
Yeah, just
something to not be like, because this is almost Deus Ex. If it weren't for the start of if it wasn't the start of the episode, it'd basically be a Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, I think they could. It's the most frustrating part to me about this is that it's an easy fix. You know, like all you need to do is just have one line or like a quick scene of us establishing, oh hey, Zarkon's getting better, because the last time we've seen him, he was on like life support. You know, like he was out of commission.
Yes.
So the fact that he got better so quickly is like, okay, I guess he's back. You know. And I think it just sort of throws you for a loop. I also think that Lotor, you know, I think I remember in the last episode we talked about this in the last podcast episode. I mentioned that I didn't think that Lotor was that threatening of a villain, at least in comparison to Zarkon. Like Zarkon's like the Darth Vader. Like he's the one that you're like you just see him and you know he could gank you. Lotor.
I just realized.
What?
Lotor's basically Kylo Ren.
You know what? That's a fair comparison. Although I'll be honest,
it's not a straight one-to-one comparison since Zarkon would have to be the grandfather.
Yeah.
And also dead, and him trying to live up to his deceased relative's legacy.
Yeah.
Or in this case, he's just trying to usurp
the legacy. Yeah.
Yeah. But
side tangent. Yeah, I can see that comparison working. And like I even said in the other episode, it reminds me of like a less threatening Sephiroth. But I think my appreciation for the villainy, I guess, kind of went up when I saw him kill one of his followers.
The blind lizard cat kind of person.
Yeah. Not that I like wanted to see him kill someone, but I wasn't like when I kind of it's kind of like how I felt. Again, going back to Kylo Ren, when I first saw Force Awakens, I didn't feel him was that threatening of a villain. He felt to me more like, someone who didn't really, like, I didn't really feel him, like, oh crap, he was threatening in fact he was powerful. Like, we got that he was powerful, but I don't know if I'd say he was threatening. But then when I saw Last Jedi, I saw Kylo Ren more as a threatening person. And I think this sort of happened too. When I first saw season 3, I was like, I can buy that Lotor is more of the I'll backstab you later kind of villain, which I guess he does.
Mm-hmm.
He's less of the upfront threat and more of the subtle threat. But I didn't really feel that threatening threat level until this episode. So I think this episode made me be more interested in Lotor's villain.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was bored by him, but I wasn't exactly taken by him as our main antagonist, So I think this one made him a little more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost feel like Lotor didn't want to kill her.
Probably not.
Like, I think that he was sort of forced to do that.
Yeah.
And I also think it kind of gave more intrigue to Hagar, because I think Hagar at this point was working behind Zarkon's back.
Basically.
I don't think Zarkon knows that she was doing this.
Yeah.
So that also adds another dimension. Like, not only is Hagar throwing out her son, but also going behind her husband's back and doing a bunch of shady stuff, which I almost feel like what that's leading up to maybe is that this means that the Galra Empire is going to rot from the inside, rather than, Voltron will obviously help bring them down, but
yes.
I feel like part of the things that will help bring them down is by Zarkon and Hagar fighting with each other.
Yes.
And sort of, we'll talk later about what happens with Lotor, but he also, I think, will be a major player in maybe bringing down the Galra Empire.
Yep.
Which is interesting, and I think that makes sense for an empire. Like Rome, historically, Rome fell because of corruption.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense for a long-standing galaxy empire to fall via corruption.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I think this episode was fine.
Yes, it was fine. Biggest thing is that they could have had better build-up, but after that, all the points that they made and all the story elements we saw were very good.
Yes.
Oh, there was also moments of Pidge and Matt and Hunk all interacting.
Yes, there was. I think
none of them were particularly relevant right now. I think next episode is the scene where they're trying to decrypt Galra codes, and they hear oh wait, Lotor is now an enemy of the Galra Empire. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But speaking of that, let's get on to the next episode, which is the Voltron Show.
Oh my God, this episode! I also have some words for this episode.
Well, why don't you give a brief plot summary of it before you talk about your words?
So, basically, Shiro wants Karan. Okay, let me back up. So there's been this whole theme running throughout this whole background thing that's been running through this series, where where Laura and co have been trying to build this sort of Voltron coalition that's trying to, unify all of the freed planets and also all of the, like, straggling rebellion forces and sort of combine them under the same umbrella so that they can, move on and, better attack the thing. So basically what they want to do is try and rally the troops. And so Karan is sort of charged kind of with coming up with how to do that. And typically have tried to do it via flashy shows. And like before, you'd get a scene where, they'd come to... I think this is actually something they did in, like, episode 1 of the season.
Yes,
they'd go to planets and then present Voltron, like, look at Voltron! Voltron's gonna save you and help you and stuff.
That was an incident where Keith was missing.
Yes.
So they couldn't actually show Voltron.
And everyone was getting upset about it. So this is sort of building on that. And basically Karan goes back to the Space Mall and goes to the Udaloo, who's the shady salesman dude, and he gets, like, a thing that's supposed to help with inspiration.
He doesn't go to the Space Mall. He met the guy originally at the Space Mall, but they were doing a thing at a hospital.
Right, oh,
He's in the hospital.
Yes, you're right. So, yeah, he gets this thing. It's literally an earworm that goes into his head and, like, bites on his brain or whatever. Yeah, that kind of made me cringe a little bit. I was like, bugging my brain, okay. And basically it supercharges him and makes him essentially a talent, like he's almost like the Voltron show's stage manager. Yeah. And he basically has them do ice shows and, like, rock concerts and all this crazy stuff. Yep. Hires these little bebop dudes that are, like, these little tiny ribbon things that, like, are instructing
They're
stuff.
Basically living spaghetti.
That's a good way to put it.
In terms of appearance, a little thicker.
Yeah, and so basically they do that, and basically it's literally, all I'll say about this episode is it's literally just filler. Yeah, and then, pretty much. And then, like, the Voltron are like, yo, this is the last show, we're not doing any more after this one show, and he's like, this is the last show, I'll give you a last show, we're gonna make this last show so good, I'm gonna have a new show. Yeah. And he sends an actual threat against Voltron instead of stage threats, and it almost really hurts the audience, and but the Beatbop dudes managed to reach inside his Karan's ear and pull the thing out and then save the day. Yep. Yeah, so basically, like I said, this entire episode was just filler, which to me, why? We did not need... Okay, like...
We didn't need it this way.
No. Like, I don't mind...
This is important.
Filler episodes.
This is important in terms of what they were leading up to.
Yeah, I think as far as plot goes, it's not like it comes out of left field and is completely unrelated, but I still feel like it doesn't add a lot. Like, you could cut this from the show and it would not affect anything. Yeah. Like, you could just talk about it in passing, like, oh, we did a... Because, like I said, they established that they were doing, like, shows and, like, displaying Voltron previously in the other episodes, so you don't really need to devote this much time to it. Yes. You can just sort of move along and say, okay, now we're going to do this thing, and because we've been doing all these shows that we're going to mention, we now have rallied the troops. Yep. We don't need time dedicated to rallying the troops. And really what this functions, so I'm gonna make a comparison here that'll only make sense if people have watched the show, but it sort of reminds me, I think what they were going for, sort of like Avatar: The Last Airbenders, Ember of the Island Players episode. And for those of you who've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know what I'm talking about. But for those of you who haven't seen it, basically that episode was a filler episode right before the finale that was essentially basically a play that the main characters watch that the Fire Nation, who's the enemy that they're fighting against, performs of all their adventures. And it's essentially a previously on Avatar: The Last Airbender episode disguised as, like, a thing. And meanwhile, and typically, while this isn't really all that... A lot of shows do this, typically it'll be clip shows or something, but this was really clever because it was... They mocked themselves within the show. Like, they pointed out the flaws of the characters, they they pointed out inconsistencies and like stuff that was hated by. It was great. And it was really clever, and it was well paced, and it was probably one of the best ways I've seen a filler episode done in a show. It was wonderful. I feel like this show was trying to do something similar because they did mock a couple things. You know, they made fun of the characters. They made fun of the fact that like Keith's a loner. They mock the fact that like Hunk makes a lot of fart jokes. You know, they do that. So there was even that one line where like, you know, when Corinne's yelling, "I'll replace you all," and then he leaves and he comes out and he's like, "Except for you, Shiro, you're our favorite character." I was
you can never be replaced.
You can never be replaced. I was like, I laughed. I was like, okay, I'll give you that, guys.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty on the nose, and I can almost feel like the writers were kind of writing out their ranks a little bit.
Yeah.
But in that one thing, so I appreciate that part. But for me, the reason why the Emerald Island players episode in Avatar: Last Airbender worked is that it was placed before the finale. So it makes sense to have a point of brevity before you get into some real heavy stuff. Mm-hmm. And it also, again, makes sense because you're catching up the audience onto everything that's happened before the finale. Mm-hmm. So its placement also makes sense. But in this instance, I don't really know if we needed a moment of extreme comedy in a 6-episode season, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really I feel like this kind of episode could have worked elsewhere.
Yes.
I feel like there were some jokes that were funny, and I think the writing is good, and I feel like this concept could have worked elsewhere, but not here. I don't think we need Voltron show here. I think we might need it elsewhere.
Yes.
I think we could have, this episode could have been so many other things. I mean, okay, again, maybe I'm getting into the whole, maybe I'm judging for what I want it to be rather than what it is. But at the same time, I still feel like my criticism of we didn't need this now is fair.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking about it in terms of, like, the whole series.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's, like, my biggest complaint about this episode. We didn't need this episode. It's useless.
I mean, I agree with you. Like, it was a fun episode. It just wasn't right for this season. We could have, with this amount of episodes we had, it could have been something else.
Yeah.
And it was just, a couple of moments were just a little too weird.
Yeah.
Especially with, like, how the plot, the main issue of the episode was resolved.
Yes.
By basically Deus Ex Machina. Like, the character was introduced, but his ability to be able to reach inside an ear and pluck an earworm out was never established.
Yeah.
And just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and, like, I don't know. I almost feel like at the end, the worst part, I think, is at the end of the episode, they're sort of in the same place. Almost. Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess you can argue
like
that
the coalition is really strong now. Like, the coalition, the difference is, like, they had a coalition, they really have a coalition.
Yeah.
We don't, but the
that.
thing is, we don't know
I get
how
that
strong
part.
the coalition is before and how strong it is
My
exactly
point,
after.
though, is when I say is that the characters are in the same place as they were before. You know what I mean? Like, there's
well,
no,
the main point, if it was like Koran was noted to be, he was a goof up, and he's trying to be less of a goof up.
Yeah, I know.
That's like what the character arc was, but this may have also been because of truncated season that he was supposed to goof up more, and we didn't see that a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, I like I said, I feel like this should have been cut, or something else.
Yeah. Well, I think we've said enough.
Yeah.
On the Voltron show, so let's get into the first of the
finale.
The first part of the finale. Begin the Blitz. How appropriate. How relatively blunt.
So basically, this is the episode where, first we see that Zoltor is trying to escape the Galra.
Yeah.
And that his team is trying to defect against him, right? Because I think they were trying to turn him in at one point.
Yeah, but not yet.
Okay.
It wasn't yet.
I guess I'm jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah.
I know that happened in this episode.
Yeah, it did. The main thing is that they are ready to attack.
Yeah.
The Blade of Momoro and Shiro have made the plan to take down the Galar Empire by attacking one particular planet.
That's the one that has
Naxxela.
that one.
Which is going to be important.
Yep.
Lotor leads his generals to the remains of the Galro's home planet.
Oh, that's true.
Because
that's where like all the quintessence used to be.
Yes, that's where the quintessence used to be. There's like a seal there, and he wants to open the seal to harvest quintessence to then reclaim the Galra Empire.
Yes.
That's when it fails.
Yes,
and that's when then they take him in.
Yes. They defect and turn him in.
Besides that,
Keith shows up in this episode.
Yes, Keith shows up because the Blade of Mamora is here.
He's been gone for like 2 episodes.
Yeah,
awesome.
And the main part of the plan as well is they also have to take out 2 giant cannon ships.
Yeah.
That are going to be a problem when attacking this planet and that are in range of this planet. So they hijack those. They start leading the assault on the planet. The assault goes pretty well.
Yep.
And then, does it happen in this episode?
Yeah, I know what happens next.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what occurred. Actually, let's just talk about both of the episodes together since they
they're more like 2-parters. So basically, what happens is then everything goes because it turns out the Noxella, I think the planet is actually a bomb, pretty much.
It's basically a bomb, and it's going to wipe out a third of the Galra Empire, but all of the resistance.
Yes.
Of the Voltron coalition.
Yeah, and basically this is being powered remotely by Hagar.
Yes.
She's the one doing all this.
Yeah, she's at range enough that like they're going to be out of range of the ship and that the giant cannons they hijacked can't fire on that ship.
Yep.
But they're like, oh, wait, they can't do anything else. And I'm like, nope, space magic.
Space magic.
Space magic is going to blow this planet sky high, and like there's a giant energy shield that covers the planet, and Voltron's trapped underneath the planet. And because Voltron's trapped within the planet, the Resistance is taking heavy casualties. A Skippy clone from Star Fox dies.
Because, gotta get rid of Slippy. Slip sucks, guys.
Yeah. But thanks to Allura's, because the technology is Altean, that the planet is made out of, and may have been an old Altean project instead of just something Hagar made, because that can be implied from the alternate reality thing showing.
Yes. Also, Hagar is Altean herself, so she can remotely activate those kinds of things.
Yeah, she's able to use it because she's Altean, but it might have been there from the original Altean group. Yes. But she's able to access it, disable it for long enough. At least this, and somehow they break through the shield. Yep. They actually managed to get to Hagar. They managed to interrupt the connection before the planet finally goes critical. Yep. And the day is saved. Oh
no!
For the most part.
Yeah, because then what happens is they because I don't know exactly how it leads up, but there's that moment where they need to attack the ship. Yeah. Or they're gonna fire on Voltron or something. I forget. Or it's the Altean ship that they're gonna fire.
No. That's right. Sorry, I remember. I read it. The summary. They got out. They were attacking the ship. They were trying to interrupt it. They were about to not, and then Lotor comes and interrupts it.
Yes, Keith was about to sacrifice himself.
Yeah, and then Lotor is just like, no.
He comes out of nowhere, blasts them.
So he did get captured by his crew, but then he escapes, and now they're really screwed because they're enemies, and they thought they could reclaim favor by saying, "Hey, we realized we screwed up. Here's Lotor back. Please don't kill us." Yes.
And so now at the very end of the season closes out with Lotor offering to make a deal with Voltron.
Yes.
And I guess it can be implied that Lotor is going to try and sort of do the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Yep, and he's pulling a Loki right now.
He is. I don't trust him. I'm sure that Voltron probably won't either, but we'll see what happens. But it makes sense for his character to do that. He sees Voltron as a threat to the Galran Empire, and if he's out of favor with them, then he can maybe get in favor with the opposite side and gain what he wants.
Something, but overall, very solid 2-parter, I think.
Yeah, I don't have many complaints about it.
Yeah. Also, Zarkon was off chasing down his son at the start of the episode, which is why he is not around for the most of this.
Yes, yeah, I'm pretty sure
pretty
Hagar
sure.
did this whole thing without Zarkon even knowing.
Yeah.
Or maybe Zarkon did know that she was attacking or using the planet.
Yeah, I think he might have known about the planet and was like, yeah, screw it.
Yeah, but they're very much.
It is also shown that Zarkon is not in the greatest state of minds and is very obsessed with tracking down his treacherous son.
Yes.
And Hagar is trying to keep things under control.
Yes, Hagar seems to be more concerned about maintaining the Galran Empire.
It's not even yeah. First it was Voltron he was so obsessed over, and now he's gone over obsessing over his treacherous son.
Yep.
So Zarkon seems to have obsession issues, and that's kind of clouding his judgment.
Yep.
At least probably from Hagar's eyes.
Yes.
So she's taking command or trying to, or something.
Yep. I imagine, like I said, in the future that probably will cause some friction between the two of them.
Yeah.
Especially considering how power hungry Zarkon is, like I imagine he would not be too happy with Hagar making broad decisions about his empire without his permission or without discussing it with him.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, admittedly, the stuff with the main people of the Galra. I kept wanting to say the Zarkons, but that's not right.
No.
The Galra seems to be the most interesting bit of this because, like, this is like the general team working together kind of an episode to get out.
Yeah,
really
there isn't really
threat.
anything. I'd say that there isn't anything like too.
There isn't
like out of the box for this episode as far as finale is good that we haven't seen in other Voltron episodes.
Yeah, like it's good because
it's
a different way of doing it rather than just throwing another giant robot. At Voltron.
Yeah,
but. For the Voltron side, it's just like, we're going to take them down. And they're like, oh, no, there's a problem. And like, oh, no, we got to stop it. And they're like, okay, we're going to stop it. But the exact progression of how to get from A to B is different. Mm-hmm. We're doing the raid. There's a problem. Now we got to fix the problem.
Yeah.
It like, if you boil down anything too much, you're going to get the same exact plot. But there's nothing particularly too notable with the whole Voltron's doing of it or the whole interaction because, like, the main thing is that I think Allura is doing a bit more with her magics than she has been, even though she's basically been piloting the ship with her magics. Mm-hmm. But it's also seeing her coming into her own character a bit was the main thing of the episode.
Yeah.
And that's kind of about it. And again, this is surprising to me that, like, Operation Curon did not come into play.
They could have done that with the Voltron show episode, but nah, we gotta do that filler, man.
I mean, it's totally gotta be like a season finale kind of. Oh, we're gonna throw a wrench in a monkey wrench in the works.
Yep.
And that's that. But this is not the time they decided to use that.
No.
But that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Overall, not a whole lot to particularly say. Overall, very good season finale.
Yes.
Just good.
Yeah.
Nothing particularly exciting. The main interesting thing again is the Galra stuff.
Yes.
Which is definitely getting very interesting and going to probably be very helpful to Team Voltron in the future.
Yep. All right, so I think we went over all the episodes, so now we should, any general stuff that we didn't talk about that you want to say?
There's nothing for me. Is there anything from you?
I'm looking forward to see what they do after this episode, after this season. I'm hoping they keep doing the 13 episode seasons. Yes. I think that'll work better. I think having the weird break makes it a little weird and makes the pacing a little off. Yes. And I really hope that the writing and like the construction of the next season is better.
Yes.
I'll agree with that. I'm not like totally burnt out on the series. I still love it.
Yes.
And I'm still looking forward to the future, but I guess I'm just not sure how I'm gonna view this season with the next season. I'm not sure where the next season is gonna go, which is good. I'm hoping that this doesn't like lead to worse things. I'm hoping it leads to better things.
Yes, hopefully.
I'll put it that way.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, season 5 is coming at some point. We don't know when at this point, but it will be coming, and we will definitely be talking about season 5 2-ish months after it comes out.
Yep.
Only other thing, say favorite episode and least favorite episodes. I think you can determine from how we talked. I think for both of us, favorite was Reunion and least favorite was the Voltron show.
Yes.
I definitely hope Kieran comes into play next season.
Yeah,
I definitely hope 13 episodes is the season for next season.
I hope that Keith doesn't stay in a side plot for too long.
Yes.
Please bring Keith back. Make Keith the main character again.
I was going to say hashtag bring Keith back 2K18.
Yes, do that.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Let's do that too.
That's a lot. That's better. Hashtag.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I have to say, and I think that's all Alyssa has to say.
Yep.
So, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video, and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All of the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack's signing off.